Here we go. Hi there. Welcome to the Ultimate Success Podcast. I'm Mark Peebles, here to help you live your best life and achieve ultimate success. If you'd asked me a year ago if I would ever get the opportunity to have a guest of the caliber of today's guest, I would have been like, I hope so, but I don't know. She is incredible. She's someone that I have looked up to from the moment I first heard her speak, which she does all over the country. She is a certified speaking professional, but she's been in the real estate business for like 27 years. She is a true expert in the field, but more than that, she's an expert on Enneagram. I love the conversation that we're about to have talking about the Enneagram. She's also an author of multiple books. Her most recent is Your Story is Your Superpower, which is coming out this fall. And beyond that, she's written more than 200 real estate continuing education courses. She is a ball of energy, and she's such a joy to talk to. I think you're going to love today's show with my guest, Cheryl Knowlton. Cheryl Knowlton, welcome to the Ultimate Success Podcast. I'm so glad you're with us.
Oh, Mark, I am elated to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, this is going to be a fun conversation. One, I'm a regular listener of your podcast. I just recorded a podcast with you, which is pretty exciting. I mean, that's definitely a big step up in the world. Mm-hmm. And I've heard you speak before, and I love you. You're great. And so I've been really looking forward to this conversation. And I think there's a lot that we can get into. But just for our audience's sake that might not know you, what is your real estate story?
Oh, gosh. How long's this show?
Well, we have, whatever your hard stop is, that's how long we have. Go. I'll just be quiet.
We want to cover more ground than just my story. Started 27 years ago this month, June 2026. So started in California in the Bay Area, which is where I'm from. You can take the girl out of California, but you cannot take the California out of the girl. Started on the mortgage side. And in order to avoid being relocated to a federally gated community, which I decided early on was very, very important to me, I had to get a real estate license, which I thought was the stupidest thing in the history of ever. Signed up for my first real estate school. This is how long ago this was, Mark. It came in a gigantic box of videotapes. Oh, wow. Videotapes. They still have those at the Smithsonian. For some of your younger listeners who are like, I think I've seen those in my parents' basement. I don't know. So I was on the mortgage side for 3 years, retail, and then moved into the wholesale side of lending, where I accidentally started speaking, started teaching classes, and fell head over heels in love with real estate education, understanding the adult learner, understand how we think, how we learn, how to make the classroom fun and engaging by looking at where do I fall asleep when I am trying to learn. I'm obsessed with learning. Love learning, especially in real estate. There's so much to learn. There's an endless array of things to learn. I'm in Utah. Utah has been home for nearly 40 years, with the exception of those 2 years that I had gone back to California and starting my career. And I love both. I'm coming to you from Park City, which is my new home, and I love it here. But I also love the Bay Area, where I still have a lot of family. So I've worn a lot of hats in this industry, real estate educator being my favorite. And I've also been a broker. I'm a subject matter expert for the Utah Division of Real Estate. I also do expert witness testimony in my spare time.
Wow. You've done a lot.
A little bit, but 27 years is a long runway.
You've sold real estate too, though, along the way, right?
Yes, I was in production at one time. And right now I'm doing the ultimate stupid act by trying to sell my own home. I blame
Oh, my goodness. Well, if you're in Park City, Utah, would you like to give us all the listing details so that we can be
Yes.
No.
Hey, reach out and I'll send you the listing input form, including the picture of the front of my house. There you go.
Well, I've heard you speak before. And let me tell you, if you get a chance to hear Cheryl, she's a must see. Okay. So I'm going to say that right at the top here, but you are really maybe this isn't the right word, a personality expert, and you are phenomenal as a storyteller, but you're also helping others to realize the value of their own story. Mm-hmm. I want to start today by talking about this thing. I hear the term all the time. I've been a part of churches where, all the staff went through this Enneagram thing, and they're all talking like, I'm a 6 leaning 7 and a 9 leaning 4. And I'm like, okay, I have no clue what you're talking about. But then I hear you talk about it. Introduce me to your Enneagram story, if I'm saying it right. And then I want to talk about how we're going to tie this into real estate. But talk to me about this. What is it?
Oh, gosh. Talk about how long do we have? First of all, for anyone who is not familiar with the Enneagram, I'll spell it for you so that you can look it up later, because then you'll find a plethora of information. And there are some really great tools and resources and others that are not as great, just like pretty much with anything. You can have your McDonald's service or you can have your Chick-fil-A service, Mark, to use.
I've heard that before.
Yes, that's your analogy. I'm not going to steal that, but it's amazing and I love it. The Enneagram is an Enneagram, Enneagram. And the Enneagram is an ancient personality typing system that dates back to many hundreds of years before Christ, and has roots in basically every world religion, including the Pythagorean theorem. Now, I'm a graduate of California public schools, and I'm allergic to math, and don't ask me to spell Pythagorean. I just happen to know that it's but basically there are, to put it in a framework that is understandable to most people. Mark, you're wearing glasses right now. I'm not wearing mine at the moment, but I have 2 different kinds of glasses. I have glasses for driving at night. Theoretically, I could use them for reading as well. And I also have prescription glasses, my prescription sunglasses, which I cannot leave my house without. Basic premise of the Enneagram is there are 9 different types of lenses through which we see the world. Not to put anyone in any kind of a box. It's to help you see the kind of box that you've put yourself in. There are different belief systems. I'm certified in 2 different modalities around the Enneagram. The belief system for most Christian facing Enneagram practices and the theory behind it is that we're born a specific type, and the experiences that we have in early childhood and adolescence and then in early adulthood shape who we become, which is part of our story. But the Enneagram feeds into that. And as a real estate professional, when I understand myself, I'm better able to understand my clients and their motivations, which this is a people business at the end of the day, which you and I've talked on my show about. This is a relationship business, but underneath that, at the end of the day, we are humans and we are beautiful and complex. And sometimes we wonder, why in the world did I do that? Why did I make that decision? Why? I mean, for me, we can laugh about it now. It was a long time ago. Why did I marry my first husband? In real estate, we call that due diligence. Should have done more of that. More of that.
When you get engaged, is there an inspection period?
Is there a cancellation period? Like, whoa, where's the date for that?
The termination period. I think, termination period.
Do I get my
Did you get your earnest money back?
No, that was an expensive lesson for which I'm eternally grateful, because I got my 4 beautiful daughters out of that experience. But so my Enneagram story, and then we're going to talk about real estate, is actually not about houses. We think it is. It's not. Real estate is about people. I was adopted at birth and found my birth family on my mother's side shortly before my 50th birthday. And I was in Dallas, Texas, visiting my biological sister. She and I are very close, and we're also very alike. I'm the oldest of four girls on my mother's side, and she felt like she was a fish out of water with our younger two sisters who are very alike. And she, I think every kid at some point wonders, was I adopted? Do I fit in this family? Do I actually belong with these people? Sometimes we kind of hope that, but
yeah, right.
I was speaking at the Texas State Association of Realtors convention, and I stayed an extra day to go visit with her. And she was standing in her kitchen making me spaghetti for dinner, which is my absolute favorite, tongs in hand, spaghetti noodles bubbling on the stove. And she looked at me and she said, "Have you taken that Enneagram assessment that I sent you?" Now, pause. I've never met a personality test I didn't love. Being adopted at birth, I wonder a lot, like, why in the heck am I this way? Talking about faith, talking to God about, did you make me this way? Or is it, or there are some other forces at play here?
Right.
And I shamefully admitted, no, I haven't taken it. I've been really, really busy. And she picked her phone up from off the counter and she handed it to me. And she said, "You have no excuse. I'm making you dinner. Go." Okay. She's making me spaghetti. What am I going to say? I take this assessment. It was a free assessment on online. I do not recommend those, by the way. Those are more there's free assessments that will give you faulty information. And we'll talk about that more, maybe or maybe not, but just, it was a start.
I had no framework with Cheryl Knowlton.
Yes. I had no framework for this. And so I didn't know. I answered the questions as honestly as I could while she's standing there at the stove stirring the spaghetti. And I pushed the, get my results button after I had answered all the questions, to the best of my ability. And it pops back with, "You're a 3. Just like you, Mark, you were talking about, where you go to church and they talk about, leadership has all done it, and they talk about their type.
Yep.
And they talk about their wing potentially and or their subtype. There's a lot of layers to this. You could talk about onions. I like to talk about chocolate cake. There's a lot of layers to this thing. And then there's frosting on top of it, which makes it even more fun. And a big, thick layer of chocolate frosting is pretty much the best part of the whole thing. In order to really understand the Enneagram...
I didn't know I needed insulin for this conversation.
Welcome to your trip to diabetes.
Yeah, right.
The coolest thing about the Enneagram is to understand ourselves. And from a faith-based perspective, why did God make me the way that he did? And ultimately, I believe, you asked for permission to talk about faith on my show, I will ask for permission to talk about faith on yours. Yep. I believe that our journey back to God, our individual journey back to God, is the most important journey that any of us will ever go on in this lifetime. And a huge piece of that treasure map is figuring out who he created us to be. Because when we do that, we start to understand the lens through which we're seeing the world. We start to see our triggers and maybe why, and our conflict styles and our communication styles. And why does that person rub me the wrong way? I think we've all had that experience, probably dating back to elementary school. Like, ew, I don't want to, anyway, I just don't like you. Yeah. I don't know why. You never said that. And I never said that. We loved everybody.
Right. No.
Yeah, other people. And so when we look at all of this through the lens of the Enneagram, the bottom line for each of us is to discover our type. And that sounds so easy, and it's not. Jeff and Beth McCord, I don't know if you're familiar with Jeff and Beth McCord, but they are major thought leaders in the Enneagram space, in the Christian Enneagram space. And he is a pastor in the South. And so, and they have a podcast, and they're great, and they're married, and they're both Enneagram coaches. And we often, I don't know why, but in life, we tend to marry our opposite. And so they do workshops and all sorts of things. And they've written a beautiful book called More Than Your Number. And talking about understanding ourselves, and then understanding the person that we're married to, or that we've chosen to live our life with, or if we have children, trying to understand them so that we can love them better. And when we're talking
Mm.
about real estate and showing up at the crossroads of the most important, emotionally charged, expensive decision of anyone's
Yep.
lifetime, and we are not in the business of houses or condos or land or water rights or any of that. Those are all ancillary to the fact that we are in the people business. So if I
Yes.
understand myself and I understand what drives me, what motivates me, what demotivates me, what triggers me, what stresses me out, what lights my heart on fire, then I'm going to be able to communicate better. I'm going to lead better. I'm going to love better. I'm going to negotiate better. I'm going to serve better because I'm coming at all of it through the lens of understanding myself first so that I can then try to understand other people. And the cool thing about the Enneagram is even though I have a lot of specialized additional training and certifications, and I've read 30 books on the subject, I can't tell you your type. No one can tell
Yeah.
anyone else their type because only you know your true motivations, you and God.
Yep.
Only the two of you know what really, really drives you and what your core desires are and your core fears, other than rattlesnakes, which is a huge one for me. And I'm probably not alone. It has nothing to do with the fact that I am a type 7. And on my show, I talk about my recent discovery that I am a 7, the enthusiastic visionary, because I was masquerading around life from the time that I discovered the Enneagram in September of 2019. I thought I was a 3, the competitive achiever. And I believed I was a competitive achiever. And I do have a lot of competitive achiever in me, but I am not a competitive achiever. And so it's like I was walking around viewing the world through your glasses. Maybe it would help me, but maybe not because it's not the right prescription. I wasn't really being able to see myself clearly. Then I ran into some issues with some family members and some different relationship dynamics that left me wondering, what drove that behavior in them? What drove that behavior in me? Who's driving the bus here? What's really going on? So in answer to your question, we are in a people business, not a house business. And the Enneagram gives each and every one of us self-awareness, because I believe that true leadership starts with self-leadership, and we can't really truly lead until we know what's driving our own personal bus.
So you say that you haven't met a personality test that you didn't love.
Right.
So I'm sure you've been through DISC, which I think in real estate, and not just real estate, but if I go way back before my real estate days, I went through DISC, then get into real estate. I've been through DISC. I don't know how many times. And then I've been in training programs where we use DISC. We know what we are, but it's really about evaluating and deciphering and determining what that potential client is, right? And then knowing how to talk to that potential client. So
yes,
I'm hearing you right with Enneagram. You're saying we can't truly understand and decipher what that potential client would be on the Enneagram. It's more about self-discovery.
Absolutely.
How does that self-discovery help me with the engineer that I'm sitting across the table with, or from the sales guy, career-wise, he's a sales guy. He's definitely an I on the DISC scale, but how does knowing my Enneagram help me with that engineer or that, outgoing sales guy or that nurse that I'm meeting with in their home to talk to them about selling their home?
I love the question. And I do love DISC. I'm a huge advocate for the designation and certification courses that the National Association of Realtors has created for us as real estate licensees and professionals to elevate our professionalism. And in the real estate negotiation expert course, when they rewrote it, they did it on day one through the lens of DISC for us because personalities leave clues. And so if you love DISC, you're going to love real estate negotiation expert. It's a phenomenal course for us to be able to pick up on those clues about the speed at which someone talks. Might lend itself to us being able to see the speed at which people make decisions. Not necessarily, but I make decisions very quickly as opposed to my husband, who needs 2 weeks to gather all the data, create a spreadsheet, and then he'll think about it.
Yeah, that's my wife too. She needs 2 weeks, all the data, and finally me saying, no, we have to make a decision.
Right. Like, come on. And you probably trust your gut when you're making decisions. I trust my gut when I'm making decisions. And that's another thing about the Enneagram.
The difference though between us is that I actually have a big gut.
Now,
so,
whatever. No, big is relative. Big is relative. So, I mean, just in terms of understanding ourselves, I don't know that there's a real estate professional out there who doesn't think, if only I stopped eating, hanging out with both Ben and Jerry and eating all the tacos on Taco Tuesday, if only I didn't, if I would go to the gym, if I'd sleep more, if I'd stop drinking so much, and like, our personality is not our excuse. And the sooner we can clean the lenses. How often when I'm trying to take a picture, does my iPhone tell me you need to clean your camera? Like, we need to clean the lens a lot so that we can see, okay, I can't use this as an excuse. This is my mirror for who I've been and my map for who I'm becoming. And I love, I love alliteration. I love the fact that we can see, okay, who have I been and who am I becoming? Because we have a lot more choice in who we're becoming than we do about who we've been in the past. We can't go back there. But every client wants to feel understood. The Enneagram, if we are clear about who we are, it's the natural outcropping of that is going to be, it's going to be improved communication. Analytical client wants data. If they're asking for that, we're going to give it to them. The emotional client wants a hug. And they want to know that they can throw parties in the house and that there's going to be adequate parking and enough ovens and maybe in the chef's kitchen and a butler pantry for us to be able to prepare the party, and places for people to sit and be and swim and whatever. A decisive client's going to want speed. A relationship-driven client is going to want connection. So we learn to flex those communication skills to get really clear about who we are so that we can show up in service to a greater extent.
So Enneagram, what's that direct tie-in? It starts with understanding me.
Yes. Understand yourself so that you can serve better.
So let me ask you this question. When you meet people, do you try to guess what their Enneagram is?
Sometimes. Sometimes it's easier than others. And sometimes they will say things that like, oh, I'd rather die than create conflict. Well, that person might be a 9, an adaptive peacemaker. If they say the thing that matters the most to me is being of service and helping people, and I'd give the shirt off my back and the coat and all the clothes out of my closet, they might be a 2. They might be the helper. I have 2 daughters who are helpers. And as I've been preparing to move, I'm incredibly grateful for my daughter who has driven 3 hours each way to help me more than anyone else. Wow. And so, and the key is then once we know is to not exploit those qualities in ourselves or in others, because she would help me until she literally fell over. And I don't want that for her. So it makes negotiations so much easier when we do it through the lens of personality. When we try to understand someone else's fears, and get curious and lean in to, okay, what are you really afraid of? They're not going to say, well, my deepest fear in life is, most people don't have that kind of clarity or that kind of trust. But looking at decision-making styles is really, really helpful. And then recognizing that a lot of times we marry our opposite. And so being patient.
How has that was going to be my next question, is how has understanding who you are and having your husband understand who he is and you understanding that, how has that changed your marriage dynamic?
Well, it prevented us from getting divorced about 8 years ago. So when I discovered this, because he is a 5, he is the investigator. And so we were driving to my dad and my stepmother's home, and they had lived there for many years, and it was his first time going there. And this was before Apple Maps. This was many years ago. And I told him, you're going to go to the next exit. You're going to get off. You're going to go down the ramp. And when you get to the stoplight, you're going to turn right. Fairly specific. He pulls out a literal Rand McNally and covers, covers the dashboard, Mark, with the whole thing. And I was so offended. I took it so personally, that he did not believe me, didn't trust me, that I know how to get there. And like, we, as human beings, we make emotionally based decisions and we backfill with logic.
Right.
I'm not a neuroscientist. I've never even played one on TV, but I have done enough study about this valuable real estate to understand, okay, how we operate. And I was creating so much story around why he was doing what he was doing. And I said, and I studied this about the 5. And when we tried to do DISC, there was nothing that really fit him. And when we tried to do other things, there was just nothing that really fit him. And so that left me feeling more frustrated and more confused than I had been before. But reading this, the very first book that I ever read, that my sister recommended to me, was called The Road Back to You by Ian Morgan Cron. And he had Ian Morgan Cron. And he has an amazing podcast called Typology. So, and it's a lot more interesting, honestly, for anybody listening to his podcast if you know your own type, because then you can search by type and listen to him interview other guests and whatnot and try to understand ourselves a little bit more. It is layers and layers and layers and layers and layers.
Wow. Okay. Let me ask you this, because I want to get into talking about story with you and the power of our stories. But before I do, that's a great resource. The Road Back to You by Ian Cron. Are there any other must-have resources when it comes to Enneagram that our audience should have?
I'm a big fan in The Complete Enneagram by Beatrice Chestnut. And she is a major, major thought leader in the Enneagram world, in the Enneagram space. And she has an assessment. And Ian Morgan Cron has an assessment as well. That my personal favorite assessment that I feel like has been the most insightful to me is through a company called Integrative 9. And through Integrative 9 boasts a 95% accuracy rate, scientifically based, as it pertains to type, which, as you're going on this journey, type is the most important thing to discover. And then a lot of other things will fall into place after that. But otherwise, it's just this great big world. It's like a kaleidoscope. And the more you turn it, the more colors you see, but you're like, what does this mean to me? I have no framework. I have no context. This isn't helpful. Finding your type actually is. And so Integrative 9 is the company that Google and NASA and the largest companies on earth use to help their teams come together so that they know, how do we utilize the brilliance in this room so that we can come together as a team and go further faster. And we're not leaving anybody's gifts at on the floor or outside in the hallway, or worse, in the parking lot.
Right. Okay. So I love this. Great resources. I've never done an Enneagram. However, I've got a takeaway from today to go and take an assessment, not a free assessment. How much do these assessments cost?
It depends. The Integrative 9 standard is $60. And the Pro is $120. And that the Pro is 42 pages of detailed analysis.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
It's incredible. And it'll tell you and be like, oh my gosh, that explains why I did that. Which is the fabulous fun thing about all of this, Mark, is the closer you get to actually discovering your true type, the cringier it gets. The cringier it gets. Because you're like, oh, that's true. And I did do that. And then we go deeper and we talk about the Enneagram and money, and why, as real estate professionals, we don't have savings, and why, as real estate professionals, we always believe there will be more. And it's always about the next deal. And we see everything through the lens of the next commission, which is why we can't ever go on vacation. We can't ever sleep. We can't ever take a day off. And because we are, it dials back to decision-making style, which is
Wow.
scary and fascinating and fabulous and fun. Beatrice Chestnut's assessment, I want to say, is like $42. I think Ian Cron's is approximately the same. So those are the three that I would recommend.
Okay, awesome. So that's one of my takeaways. All right. I will go and I will do an Enneagram assessment. So,
and you're going to text me and tell me what your type is so that we can play.
I am. And then you're going to get so excited because you're like, nailed it. Not that you were trying to guess what I was, but okay. I want to know, you've got a book coming out. You have a book coming out. Your story is your superpower. And I want to hear, like, how did you get to this point of writing the book about your story? And I know you tell your story in the book. So, like, give me a little bit of background.
Thank you for asking the question, because it came about in an interesting way. It's not my first book that I've written. I've written a couple of other books. My first was called Burn the Hamster Wheel, which is about stress management strategies for real estate professionals, which, and then I got a job as a managing broker and worked 80 hours a week. And now that book is called Hamster Wheel Marathons. But my boss, I'm no longer working for this company. It was last fall. And I was working for Coldwell Banker and as a managing broker and in a corporate owned office. So we had a regional vice president. There were 6 of us managers, and we meet a lot. And one day she said to us, the first week of December, we're going to be doing a sales rally for 350 of our agents. And I want each of you to create your own origin story and be prepared to share it in a TED style talk at sales rally.
Interesting.
I'm not afraid of public speaking. I mean, literally some of my fellow managers, bless their cute hearts, they have incredible skill sets, but they don't feel like speaking is one of them. And they were literally breaking out in hives right in front of me, and sweating buckets like a cartoon character. I'm like, okay. I thought, I've been teaching people for years how to create their origin story, and I've never really done it for myself, and it's time to do that. So I did. And that story is called Sparkle Anyway. It became the prologue of the book. And now, because I've written a couple of other books, I have a team. I'm a big, big believer in surrounding yourself with incredible people who bring out the best in you. And these 2 people do bring out the best in me. My daughter, Janine, and my best friend, Chuck. And so I wrote this story, and I think I might have given it to Chuck first. Janine was going through some medical issues, and he told me that he just couldn't stop crying, that it was so, and he's an attorney. So,
wow. Attorneys don't cry.
Attorneys don't cry. I think they teach them that, the first couple of weeks of law school, they teach them to say it depends and in different tones and at different speeds. And then they teach them to not be emotional. But I mean, he said, this is beautiful and this is incredible. And then Janine saw it and she said, this is so incredible. I can't stop crying. I'm taking this to my therapist today. And this is just so beautiful. And I was like, okay, here's my Venmo back.
Right.
And they both said, this is so beautiful. This is the beginning of the book. This needs to be a full book. And so I mapped it out. And POWER is actually an acronym for permission, ownership, wisdom, empowerment, and resilience. And so as I tell a story, then we look at it through a lens, and you get to look at your own life and your own story. When have you played small to make someone else feel safe and comfortable? When have you, done X, Y, and Z and all the, different things for you to look at your life as the superpower that your story is, your life and your story. And so the book is nearly complete. Both of them have given me so many edits, and then I will edit, and then they'll go back and make it better. And it's just like polish and refine, polish and refine, polish and refine. At some point, I will call it done, and I will say, thank you for all of your ideas for suggestion and improvement. Then the publisher gets to do that to me.
Right.
Yes.
When do you expect publishing?
What's that?
When do you expect publishing?
I'm thinking probably November 1st, but I've self-published all of my other books. This will be the first time that I have a publisher involved. And so, he'll be able to give me some direction as to timing. I think November 1st is before the holidays, and he has a lot of connections with Barnes and Nobles throughout the world, and it wouldn't make me mad to have to come to Ohio and do a book signing. That would be so great.
Hey, we would love that. I would travel to the closest Barnes and Nobles just to get to see you. Are you going to be putting it out? Because most realtors, we listen to things. Are you going to put out an audio version?
Yes, there will be an Audible version. And unlike my other books where I had my daughter do it, this is my story. So I have been strongly encouraged to record it myself. So yes, I will do that.
Think you should. I absolutely think you should.
Mark said.
Okay, well, now you have your takeaway. Record the Audible, because I will listen to it right away. All right, so here's the deal. I ask every client 3 questions, or every client. You're not a client. I ask clients way more questions.
Is that all? Wow, I've been doing this wrong all these years.
I know. I ask 3 questions that kind of rapid fire, just to help us get to know you even a little bit more. So number 1 is this: who has been the greatest impact on your life? Someone that you would say, if it weren't for this person, I probably wouldn't be here today.
My best friend, Chuck.
Okay. Tell me about him.
He's the attorney that doesn't cry, that cried when he read my book. He is, we've known each other for 27 years. We met at my very first Women's Council of Realtors meeting 27 years ago. And he has been my biggest cheerleader, and just so instrumental and so wise in guiding me from don't sign that to, this would be a really good direction for you.
Yeah. Awesome. What about this? What is a life lesson that you've had to learn the hard way that you wish someone had told you sooner?
Stop outsourcing your love and approval of yourself to other people. The sooner you can find that within yourself and in your connection to God, your connection to self, and really truly know and own and love yourself and not look for that approval and validation from other people, the sooner you will reclaim the power for your entire life.
Yeah, I love that.
I learned that the hard way.
Okay, yeah. Well, how did you learn it?
After meeting my birth mother, and I don't want to give away all the juicy good stories in the book, but that meeting was not what I hoped, dreamed, and expected that it would be in that relationship. Subsequently, now that it's been more than 10 years since I found her, she's a beautiful, wonderful person, but she's not the person to champion me and cheer for me, and I think I built up who she would be in my life, for years before I met her. And then when I actually met her, and, I'm a painful secret that I'm the skeleton that she wishes had stayed in her closet. And that's not what I expected.
Wow.
And so just recognizing if I'm, you look at that sacred relationship with your mother, and if I can't, I can't get that from her, where am I going to get it? And I can get it from healthy places, or I can get it from unhealthy places. And I decided, with the help of my amazing therapist, that I needed to get it from within myself instead of outsourcing it.
Yeah, I think both you and I talk about our experiences with therapy or counseling, and great therapists that have walked us through some things. And I think getting outside counsel is always a good thing.
Absolutely.
Last question I have for you. We talk about ultimate success on our show, and I want to know, what does ultimate success look like for Cheryl Knowlton?
So other than being the very best dog mom for Scooby, that's my facetious answer. I would have to say that my real answer is deeply understanding and knowing the gifts that God gave me, and that he gifted me in order to give them back to bless and serve his children, and to do that without reservation, without fear, without making excuses, without hanging out in my blanket fort with Ben and Jerry for whatever reason is keeping me from freely sharing the gifts that he's given me. to bless and serve his children, and to, ultimately change the world. And not the entire world, but at least my world, and
Yep.
and the people that I'm blessed to have in it.
That
Like you.
is That is good stuff. And I am blessed to be a part of your world, Cheryl, and I'm so grateful for you. Where can our audience find you and learn more about you?
I'm on all the social media channels, mostly under Cheryl Knows. They can go to my website, CherylKnowlton.com, and they can find out our great podcast episode that we did together
Yep.
on my show, which today is titled Real Estate Elevated. Because I am in the mountains. We'll see. I might be going through another name change. I know that you're doing a name change, and ultimately,
just went through it ourselves.
Yeah, it's a fun thing. But it's like buying a new pair of shoes. I love these now.
Right, exactly. Well, Cheryl, I'm so grateful for you. I'm so thankful that you took the time to be on the podcast today, and I know you're going to be a blessing to our audience. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for being a blessing in my life and in the real estate community in Ohio and throughout the country with the broadcasting of your voice.
Oh, well, thank you so much. All right. We'll see you soon. What a great conversation today with Cheryl. I love Cheryl to death. It's towards the end there, she said that she wishes she could reach through and just give you a hug. And I think a lot of people in the audience will recognize she's that kind of person. She just cares about people. She is a people person. And she's very genuine, and I love that. Her story is powerful. Here's a few of my takeaways from today. Number one, Enneagram. I said it during the show. I say it again. I'm going to go do the Enneagram, and I'm going to do one of the paid versions of it as she suggested. So I will go on and do that. I think Integrative 9 is the one that she recommended. So I'm going to do the Enneagram to try to get a better understanding of myself. So that's one of my takeaways. Did you take that away? So that's number one. Number two, I would say who I have been and who I'm becoming are different things, because who I've been, I don't have a lot of choice in that. It's already in the past. I can't change it, but I do have a choice in who I'm becoming and the story that I'm writing. I loved our conversation around that. And that's really something that Cheryl's so good at, is sharing her story and helping you understand how you can use your story through her experiences. The last thing is surround yourself with people who bring out the best in you. And that is something that I really do believe is simple. It is simple, but not everybody's doing it. And I think in real estate, we tend to isolate a lot, and we get busy, and we don't surround ourselves with people who bring out the best in us. And so that's one of my big takeaways today, is to be very intentional with the people that I'm surrounding myself with, and ask the question, are they making me better or not? And if they're not, then maybe I need to find people in my life who are making me better. Cheryl Knowlton is definitely someone that I feel like makes me better. I listened to her show, Real Estate Elevated. I encourage you, check out her podcast. I was just on her podcast, but I get so much out of her podcast. I listen almost every week, and I encourage you to do the same. It's targeted at real estate agents, and I think it'll have a big impact on your life as it has mine. So those are my takeaways. Hey, remember that we have the 100 days to 100K online program. I encourage you guys check that out. If you want to take your business to the next level, focus on two of your most valuable assets, your time and your relationships. We're going to help you do that. But one of the other big things that I think relates to the conversation with Cheryl today is it's actually going to help you take a deep dive into yourself. What is your personal vision, and what's your purpose? What were you created to do? I think the Enneagram can help that or help with that. But I also believe that 100 days to 100K is a great way to do that deep dive, to understand, like, where am I going? What's my destination? And what's my purpose along the way? How am I going to have impact on the world around me? So learn more about that at itsmarkpeebles.com. Itsmarkpeebles.com. Would love to have you join our 100 days to 100K or actually ultimate success community through the website and get access to 100 days to 100K. So that's it for this week. Thanks for joining me. It's so good to see you. Have a great week. Bye now.